Hey everyone. I know it's been a minute, and for that I apologize. Welcome to episode 2 of stories that I tell that sometimes make people laugh. However, today, I don't know that there'll be much laughing. I don't feel much like laughing. Um, it's after midnight, so we are 2 days out from the decision that Louisville, Kentucky made to not indict the officers um, that murdered Breonna Taylor, who was asleep in her bed at the time of being murdered. The officers were there under false pretense. The person that they were looking for had been arrested earlier in the day. There was no drug activity in this home. There were no drugs. There was no drug paraphernalia. There were no drug dealers that lived in this home. Plainclothes officers burst into the home of Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, and being a registered gun owner, the boyfriend began to shoot, thinking that someone was breaking into their home. They did not announce themselves as police officers. He was not a criminal. He was not looking to battle it out with the police. He was attempting to protect his home. The police officers unloaded, I do believe it was 30 rounds. 6 of them entered the body of Breonna Taylor, who was asleep during all of this. And the only indictment was of one of the 3 officers. He was indicted on wanton endangerment, I believe is the correct way of saying it. And not for the bullets that went inside of Breonna Taylor's body, not for the bullets that went inside of Breonna Taylor's home, but for the bullets that nearly missed, or missed, I guess we can say, nearly missed the residents in the other adjoining apartments. So I don't think that we're going to have much laughter today. I sit here and I've been thinking about this nonstop since I heard about the lack of indictments on the officers. And I think to myself, as the mother of 3 African American sons, as being an African American woman myself, I'm feeling so unprotected. It's screaming in my head, I am not my ancestors. I am not my ancestors. I am not my ancestors. I'm not. And I know when people hear that, they think that this is somehow a knock on our ancestors. But for me, it's not. I'm not my ancestors because my ancestors were better than me. My ancestors were calmer than me. My ancestors were smarter than me. My ancestors were stronger, both mentally and physically, than I am. And they were mentally and physically stronger than most people who are walking around today. I'm not my ancestors, and I could never be. My ancestors were better than us. Not just a little better, a lot better. They were built different than us. Um, our ancestors were brought to this country where they did not, against their will, to a land where they did not know the language, where they were forced to adapt and used for strength, brute strength. Our ancestors were used to guide plows in the absence of animals. Plows, plows that till the land. Um, I don't even know the weight of a plow, but I can imagine that it is a couple few 100 pounds. And our ancestors were used to pull the plow to till the land for acres and acres and acres. And when they grew tired and they grew weary because they were hungry and when they wanted to give up and because it was hot and they were being, there has to be a better word than mistreated, right? Our ancestors were then beat with whips, the way you do animals to keep going. And they did this day in and day out for several years. This country was built on the backs of free labor. Those same ancestors that were utilized to plow the land as if they were animals, they were used to pull. I just need you to get a visual of that. Our ancestors were used to pull plows that tilled the land for several acres. I am not my ancestors. My ancestors were better than me. My ancestors were better than you. Can you imagine the strength, both mentally and physically? But let's not even enter the mental part at this point. Let's just simply talk about the physical strength that it took, that it would take to pull a plow for several acres to till the land out in the hot sun. Let's talk about the strength that would take on very limited food. Um, there were no water breaks. Um, the sheer strength that would take. You think that man, those men, those ancestors, you think they couldn't physically overtake their oppressor? You think they weren't physically able to beat the dog piss out of the overseers? You think they couldn't? That's insane. They absolutely could. We in today, 2020, we don't have the strength to pull wheelbarrows for acres. We're not built that way. We I'm not my ancestors because they were better than me. Let's move to the mental strength that it had to take to watch your wife, your woman be raped, beat, and abused by the overseer, by the slave master, of the plantation that you were being forced to work on for free, carry that slave master's baby, give birth to it, and have to care for it, and then have the ability to go back to your woman and love on her. Folks today are not built to sustain cheating. Folks today are not built, they can barely sustain and get through a wrong text message or DM being sent to your woman. You sat through watching your woman get raped. You watched her carry somebody else's baby. You watched her deliver that baby, nurse that baby, care for that baby, treat that baby as if it was your own. You raised that child only for them to then become a slave. We're not our ancestors because they were so much better than us. So much better than us. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I now have the ability and the money to go out and purchase a weapon. I am legally able to purchase a gun. Um, I have the ability to earn money to purchase a gun. Shooting somebody is the easy way out. Our ancestors had the physical strength to beat the dog piss out of their overseers, and they didn't. They chose to live, they chose to adapt to what they were in hopes of getting better, doing better, living better, in hopes of, if not for me, but for my child, if not for my child, but for my grandchild. Can you imagine in a time where there was no birth control, engaging in sexual intercourse with your partner, knowing that sex can bring babies, knowing that that baby would be born into slavery, and still loving on and bringing that baby into the world anyway because you had hope, because you had the mental strength to keep going. Our ancestors were better than us. They were. They were. I had to address that because I hear people all the time say, I'm not my ancestors. And then people get really, really angry. They're like, how dare you insult the ancestors? And I can't speak for what other people mean when they say that they're not their ancestors. But when I say it, it is in gratitude. It is in humbleness. It is in appreciation. It is an acknowledgement that I could literally never. I can't imagine. I would hang myself. I would. I thought about hanging myself for less, far less. I would. The fact that they endured so that we could be here, yeah, they were better than us. I'm going to wrap this up because I've been emotional most of this week. Um, and I don't want to prolong this with any additional misplaced emotion. But I want to pose the question, what now? What now? Because I'm personally not ready to give up the fight. Um, the 3 police officers were not indicted for Breonna Taylor's murder. So who should be indicted? Is it the judge that signed the no-knock warrant? Is it the clerical personnel who made the clerical error um, and didn't pass along the information that the person that they were, quote unquote, serving the no knock warrant on? And I say quote unquote because now that there's a indictment of wanton endangerment. Now there was discussion of it being, first it was a no-knock warrant. Well, as they came in like that because it was a no-knock warrant. They were plain clothes because it was a no-knock warrant. It's no-knock warrant. Now the no-knock warrant is not a no-knock warrant. It was a knock warrant. They announced themselves. There's mysteriously a witness that heard them announce themselves loud and clear. So they knew they were shooting at the police. I can't even have that debate. I can't. But the person, there had to be somebody responsible, right? Like the system. The system. If you go into work, and I'm not a police officer, I don't know how it goes, but I would imagine you go into work and you look and see, oh, I've got these tasks for the day. I need to do X, Y, and Z. And let's say, you know, in position Y, I need to go serve this no-knock warrant for this criminal. Common sense tells me that the first thing you do is double check that this warrant is still correct. Do we have the right address? Do we already, like, it should be something that you run a system. And if I'm looking for Joe Black and Joe Black has been arrested earlier in the day, something should ding, 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 ding. Alarm should go off. The computer should jump off the desk. And somebody should something. Hey, we've got that person. You no longer have to do position Y. You just need to do X and Z. Your night just got a little bit lighter. I am not willing to let go of somebody is responsible for this woman's death. I am not willing to stop at the family received a $12 million civil settlement that is being paid by the tax dollars from the people who police officers are killing. I'm not. No, just no. Just no. And I'm humble enough to admit that I don't know what is next, but I need to find out. I need to know what's next. I need to know where do we go from here. And please understand that I know that we have several fights to fight. There are several names that come to mind when I think of injustices being done to Black and brown people across the United States. I'm not dismissing that. But I'm also not giving up on the Breonna Taylor fight. What next? What now? Who is responsible? If we're not indicting the officers because they were simply following orders, then who are we indicting? Because certainly somebody has to go to jail. Somebody has to pay. This woman has lost her life. She did not get the opportunity to have babies. She did not get the opportunity to go further in her career. She did not get the opportunity to get married. She did not get the opportunity to grow old. Somebody needs to be indicted. Somebody needs to be held responsible. How can you somebody. So what do we do? What can we do? We have marched, we have kneeled, we have Black Lives Matters, we have spoke up, spoke out, we have wore t-shirts, masks, during the tennis matches, we have confronted, embarrassed, gotten people's jobs taken. We have all of that, and they are still killing us. So what now? Because this can't continue. This can't go on. This is not okay. It's not. That's all I got for y'all. My heart is heavy. I am saddened about all of this. Misunderstood out.